Matt Milano stays in Buffalo 4 years, $44 million total, although Sal Capaccio from WGR in Buffalo had his contract totaling about 38 mil. Look, you're going to get some discrepancy between what the agent says, what the team says. But look, bottom line, even if it's 4 years, $44 million, the Bills did not overpay. Almost certainly they got a pretty darn good deal here keeping Matt Milano. Didn't have to, spend 12, 13 million a year, which was something that was talked about. I never thought he'd really go over 12, but it was something that was rumored. And even better for the Bills, the cap hit this year appears to only be $7 million. And I thought this year's cap hit would at least be in the 8-figure range, at least 10 million. So to get him at 7 million for this year on the cap, really good work by Brandon Beane. And that's what free agency needs to be about. This is a team, and really any team in the NFL, what you're trying to do this time of year is find value. You pay a player for what he can give you. You're trying not to buy a name. You're trying not to pay for past production. If you can give a player a contract and he exceeds it, then you've won. That's really the only goal, for free agency. At least the number one goal for free agency. So what that does for the Bills now, depending on what site you go to, and there's a lot of guesswork when it comes to cap space. Also, we have to assume what the Vernon Butler pay cut was too. We don't know how much he gave back to the Bills yet. But if you go through everything that has happened for the Bills this past week, I've got the Bills around $11 million that they can spend. There's more cap space, but some of that space has to go to draft picks. Some of that space has to be left over for an emergency fund. So I've got the Bills at about $11 million they can spend on other free agents right now. You still have the Mario Addison contract, a guy that could be cut, and the Bills could pick up an extra $6 million there. So some moves they can make to create more room. Obviously, restructuring is a possibility, but to assume a restructure, is going a little bit far. It's different than Mario Addison, where I can just look at his contract and the numbers that are available and say, this is how much that guy could help the Bills if they release him. At $11 million, the Bills can certainly, keep John Feliciano or Darrell Williams without a problem. Or they want to, they can go out and maybe grab a high-priced tight end, Jonnu Smith, trade for Zach Ertz, or they could even go out and easily chase a defensive pass rusher, a guy like Carl Lawson that I know Bills fans have talked about a lot. You're not going to get all of that, though. You're probably at this point getting at most 2 of those pieces, and you might need to release Mario Addison to make that happen. And if you want to just talk about the pass rusher situation, I think if you're Brandon Beane, you think about the $6 million you can save if you release Mario Addison, and you consider either I'm going to pay that to Addison or I'm going to pay that to the free agent pass rusher I'm going to sign. And if I sign a guy, for example, Lawson's projected value is about $9 million a year. Well, you've got $6 million of that already made up with Mario Addison, so you only have to pay $3 million extra to bring Lawson in. Bottom line, the Bills only have enough free agent cap space probably to make 2 more high-level or mid to high-level moves to be able to fit Ertz and Williams and Feliciano, or Williams and Carl Lawson and another tight end. That might be the limit, and even making that group of moves, either group I just mentioned, is probably asking too much. And here's where I question the Milano move. You think about the things that the Bills need right now this offseason, or what's left to be gathered, other than the low-level stuff, backup quarterback, punter. Not that they're not important, but they're not high-level things. The high-level things the Bills still need to do, they need 2 offensive linemen at least. You got Morse, you got Cody Ford, you got Deion Dawkins. You got to find 2 more. Whether it's Feliciano and Williams or 2 other guys, you got to pay those guys or draft those guys. We'll talk about that in a minute. You also want to improve that pass rush. That was a priority that I think everybody's talked about. Obviously, with the way the Bills pursued J.J. Watt, that's a priority for them as well. And I think tight end has been a priority as well. If you take those 4 spots, 2 offensive line spots, tight end, pass rusher, and linebacker, where does linebacker rank? I mean, it's not first. It's probably not second or third. You could argue linebacker is more important than tight end, or at least what Matt Milano can bring is more important than even what a Zach Ertz or a Jonnu Smith can bring you at tight end. I'll listen to that. But I think there's a really great argument to be made that linebacker is the 5th most important thing the Bills need out of 5. So although the Bills got a great deal on Milano and got good value in free agency, even if you want to talk about Milano's injury risk, whatever, I don't care about that. They got a good deal in Matt Milano. Doesn't make sense for this team. Because for as much as Milano brings to this team, he's not changing the game as a pass rusher. And that's what the Bills, what any team needs in this pass-happy era of the NFL. You've got to be able to get to the quarterback. I don't care how well Matt Milano covers tight ends. He didn't cover Travis Kelce worth a darn in the AFC Championship. And even if he does, if you're not getting to Patrick Mahomes, it ain't going to matter. That Bills defense got trucked. Not just in the AFC Championship. Remember, the Chiefs did whatever they wanted to against Buffalo back in the regular season in October. So bringing Matt Milano back, even on a great deal, is that making this team better? Is that closing the gap to Kansas City? I'm not sure about that. I get the move. Look, again, in free agency, number one, if you can make a move, if you can spend money and know you're going to get that money's worth, if not more, which is what the Bills are going to get with Matt Milano, then you've done a good job in free agency. But for this team, does it really help them spending money on Matt Milano that you can't spend on Carl Lawson or Carlos Dunlap? Now, I'm not saying the Bills won't get those guys, they might. But if you bring the pass rusher in, are you hurting the offensive line? Are you making Josh Allen work harder, run more often? Are you hurting the ability to establish a run game? These are the questions that Brandon Beane must answer. And even if you get a good deal on the linebacker, are you really helping your team when there are other priorities that now you're not going to be able to spend on all of them? And maybe you hit on the draft, but the draft has only so much of a success rate to be able to count on that. Now, I will say, and I've said this a couple times, when it comes to tackle, as much as I like Darrell Williams, and he was really good last year, I would let him walk only because the draft is, from what I'm told, I haven't looked at every tackle available in the draft, but from what I've told, what I've seen, and what I've read, there is an easier opportunity to get a tackle in the draft. So if I'm the Bills, I'm not going to spend money on a tackle. I'm going to try. I've got to go young somewhere. I'm going to try and do that in the draft because I probably can make that happen. I'm not going to count on a pass rusher at pick 30 to come in his rookie year and be dominant. That rarely happens at pick 3, let alone pick 30. So that's not a spot I want to go after. Tight end, again, is a spot that I think needs to grow into a team. Offensive tackle is not a gimme to walk in and be good year one. Remember, Deion Dawkins had a pretty solid rookie year. I think you can make that happen. So if the Bills go rookie or draft to fill the needed offensive tackle, I think it's a smart move. All right, what do you guys got here? T.Y. Hilton, Corey Tessier. Not a terrible idea, but I'll say this, and with John Brown, the one thing about John Brown I want to back up and just say to begin here, if the Bills had paid John Brown any amount of money, like if you've even taken a 50% pay cut and gone from $8 million to $4 million, my questions would be, one, why are you worrying about keeping John Brown around? Isn't Gabriel Davis ready to take over? And if Gabriel Davis is ready, then why are the Bills paying the fourth wide receiver? Why give that guy money when I've gone through all the other needs the Bills still have, and the fact they're already cash strapped to fill those needs. So why are they spending money on a fourth receiver? So to answer your question, Corey, I'd be surprised if T.Y. Hilton came in. It's not the worst idea in the world because I think the Bills need another weapon, and T.Y. Hilton, certainly as a third or even a fourth receiver, would be a high-level player for that role. But again, I think you've got more important needs at more important positions than low-level receiver. Peter Caffrey, lots of cap casualties, lots of playing with contracts, getting guys in the team. Doubt guys will get massive contracts, more guarantees. People talked about, and I think it's mostly Bills fans who are trying to rationalize the idea that, they can still get everybody they want. No one's going to be able to get a big deal because no one's got cap space. Teams do have cap space. I mean, the Jets and Jaguars could spend on all the guys the Bills want, double what the Bills would pay, and still have money left over. So there are teams with money. And I think a guy like Carl Lawson, who's probably the premier pass rusher available in this free agent season, is going to get a lot of money. So, if the Bills want to go after where the bargains will be, are the mid-level and low-level veterans. Those are the guys who are not going to get big money. Those are the guys who are going to get squeezed. Those are the guys who are going to take one-year deals. Not Carl Lawson, I don't think. Now, Matt Milano took a less than expected deal, so maybe that is, the beginning, the sign that everybody's going to be paid less than what we expect this year. Possible. But I don't think everybody's taking a below-market deal. There are guys who will get paid with the capital P, and those are the guys that the Bills are going to have no chance at. Tonyan will be cheap, Corey. I mean, I don't know. Do we really think the Packers are not going to keep him? And do you really buy into that, too? I'm not a huge Robert Tonyan fan, but, where the Bills are going to be if they want to go after a free agent tight end, you're probably going to be in the bin of either you sign a Kyle Rudolph, who you know is going to be a leader, who's going to be solid but not spectacular anyway to where Charles Clay production is the ceiling for a Kyle Rudolph, or a guy like Tonyan, who you take you kind of throw a dart at the wall and hope that the little bit of production he's had is something that can be repeated in Buffalo when you're not playing with the MVP, at quarterback. And we're not in a situation. Remember, all the Packers really had at wide receiver for a lot of this year was Devontae Adams. The Bills already have Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis. So I don't think Tunney's a terrible idea, but I'm not a huge fan. Terry Thompson, 5 years ago, I bet Milano does the full free agent shopping and likely leaves. Maybe. I mean, it's certainly better to be in Buffalo now than it was 5 years ago. It all depends on what each guy wants. And Milano, the one thing the Bills have done a great job with is they've made it a place that a lot of the guys enjoy playing, a team that the Bills enjoy, that the players enjoy being a part of. They like the culture. They like the front office structure. Everything feels good. So, yeah, guys will stay for less money. And guys might even sign there for a little less, too. It's not going to be for everybody, but for some guy. And keep in mind, too, when the Bills go out and draft guys, they're already looking for the type of guys who enjoy what they're going to build. So is it surprising that Matt Milano likes what the Bills have built? Well, Matt Milano is a big reason about how it got to be how it is now, because he's that type of guy. And so is Tre'Davious White, and so is Ed Oliver, and so is Josh Allen, and so is Deion Dawkins and Mitch Morse and a lot of the other guys that they brought in. Now, give the Bills credit for correctly identifying the guys that fit with their scheme, but it's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing. Does Matt Milano stay because he likes the culture, or is the culture good because of what Matt Milano has brought in the first place? Tony Lipari, free agent defensive lineman I like. Obviously, Lawson would be a great signing. The Bills end up with Matt Milano and Carl Lawson out of this offseason. It's been a heck of an offseason for the defense. I almost don't care whatever else they do. I'll roll out with almost anybody at the offensive line, and that's not really true, but Lawson and Matt Milano would be an unbelievable free agent season when it comes to defense for the Bills. Beyond that, Carlos Dunlap would be the guy I'd go after. I know it's another older veteran guy, kind of in the Mario Addison mold. I think Dunlap brings a lot more in terms of physical ability and presence and edge and nastiness than what Addison brought last year. So, and I think Dunlap can be had for something the Bills can afford. So, look, I don't think the Bills get Carl Lawson. I think he's out of their price range. But if you want to talk about a guy the Bills can afford and maybe can get, Carlos Dunlap would be my guy. All right, guys, thanks for checking in. I'm going to be off for the weekend, so we'll do this again probably Sunday or Monday. Free agency period gets going in earnest on Monday with the legal tampering period. So talk to you then.